Okay, let's just jump straight to it. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the greatest, if not the best, Star Wars games. Before you go and write a 12-paragraph comment saying that Star Wars The Old Republic is 10 times better, just hear me out for a second. I might just change your mind. Admittedly, as much as I'd love to think this title is perfect, it does have a bit of a dark side to it. Sort of like a young Anakin Skywalker. You know, he's a fan favourite, very popular, but then you remember he did that very terrible thing.
This is where the fun begins.
The only difference is Star Wars Battlefront 2 didn't get a sequel or a spin-off to try and redeem itself. And that brings us to today's topic, which is of course the rise and fall of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Does it have a future? What's the current state of it? And is it still worth playing? And whilst I've got your attention, and if you do want to see more content like this, then maybe consider subscribing. I promise you, I'm nowhere near as annoying as Jar Jar. So you might be wondering, what was so great about Star Wars Battlefront 2? Well, to put it simply, it has everything. Even though it's a multiplayer game, it has a single player campaign, which is considered canon, and even more spectacular than that, some people actually liked it. They also chucked in a 4-player co-op mode, sort of like a simulation for Galactic Assault. It is massively multiplayer with up to 40 people per game. It even has Starfighter Assault, where you can roleplay as your favourite starship pilot. It has everyone's fan favourite, heroes versus villains, and why not scare yourself shitless with a good old fashioned Ewok hunt. Holy shit! They're coming! They're everywhere! And the best thing about it, it had planets and heroes from all 3 eras. I mean, who doesn't want the opportunity to play as their favourite heroes like Yoda, Anakin, and... oh, for fuck's sake. Why did they let this guy in the game? Honestly, I don't understand why people like this stupid droid. Give me R2-D2 over this fucking cuck. Here at the Sawman channel, I'd like to apologise if I've offended any BB-8 fans. I said what I said, but I'm still sorry for saying it. I'm not at all salty that this ballbag of a droid sidelined R2-D2 throughout the whole new trilogy, but that's the subject for another day. The point is, this title has included so much Star Wars content, no other Star Wars game can even compete. And because at the time it did include everyone's fan favourite characters from all 3 eras, it meant all players of all ages could play this game and still feel nostalgic. And the biggest thing about this game, and still to this day, is that the gameplay is actually fun. It's a great game. DICE did a great job of developing a shooter that everyone could get behind and actually play. But there was one slight issue with it, which basically caused the downfall of the whole title. And that issue was loot crates. Essentially, what they did was they locked progression behind crates which you could buy with in-game currency. These crates contained star cards which you can use to level up your character, cosmetics and emotes. You could earn the in-game currency by playing the game and completing challenges. But the issue was, they also had an option for you to purchase these crates with real life money. And because of this monetization, the inclusion of microtransactions, this game was painted as pay to win. To be honest, from my perspective, it was just pay for convenience. Because realistically, everything that you paid for, you could also get with in-game currency. It's just a case of fast tracking it with your credit card. And what happened next was probably the biggest L+ ratio that's ever happened to a major game studio. So what made this game pay to win? Well, to understand that, we have to look at the original system that was in place in regards to buying crates. And bear in mind, this is from memory and old YouTube videos. So I apologise if I get any details slightly wrong. So the first thing you need to understand is that there are 3 currencies. You have credits, which you can earn by playing games and completing challenges. Then you had crystals, which was the evil EA currency, which you get with your credit card. And then you had crafting parts, which you could also get through crates and was used as a currency to upgrade your star cards. Speaking of crates, there were 3 to choose from. You had the Trooper crate, the Starfighter crate, and the Hero crate. The idea was, if you purchased a Hero crate, there was a greater chance of you getting a Hero card, However, you could still get items which were available in the other crates. Any duplicate cards were instantly converted into credits, so even if you did get bad luck, you would still eventually gain enough credits to eventually complete your collection. But the main issue was that you could also get star cards, and you can get high level ones at that. Star cards were essentially used to buff your player, so you could have extra damage, extra heals, extra regeneration on their skills and specialities. But this wasn't something that you could instantly put on. You had to have enough cards in the first place to be able to access the higher level stuff. But then the other issue that players had was that characters like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, you had to earn enough credits to unlock, which then drew in another load of complaints because the question was, how quickly could you earn credits?
But farming? Really? Man of your talents?
Someone on Reddit published the maths as to how long it would take you to unlock these characters if you didn't buy crates using your credit card. And back then, apparently Reddit was a source of truth, so everyone listened. Oh, and also he had a spreadsheet, so, you know, anyone with a spreadsheet is definitely telling the truth. And they came up with the maths that it would take you 40 hours to unlock Darth Vader.
How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Now, speaking as someone who was actually there during early access, I can hand on heart say I don't remember it being that much of a grind to get credits. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a high amount to unlock Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. That's part of the fun of the game, right? You earn these characters. But I don't remember the grind being that slow. The average player, I can only assume, has no thumbs, which is why they could only earn so little credits. Whereas someone like myself, I didn't see it as a problem. In fact, I enjoyed the grind. Sadly though, this opinion wasn't shared by the wider community. The fact is, if EA never introduced microtransactions and you couldn't buy these crates, people wouldn't care. They would have just been like, this game's a little bit grindy, maybe adjust the credits a little bit. But instead, because there was that pay for convenience option there, people dogpiled this game. Things went from bad to worse for EA due to another Reddit post. This time someone complained about Vader being locked, to which EA responded and then had the most downvotes ever on Reddit. The reply in question was simply this.
The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we are looking at average per player, credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth on the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can.
This was the spark that ignited the dumpster fire, which was Battlefront 2 and monetization.
Moss Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
The game hadn't officially been released yet and it was getting a lot of flack. So much so that when it actually did come to release day, they removed the monetization, which some people obviously saw as a win, but would actually turn out to be a negative impact on the game as a whole. Everyone from YouTubers to politicians were commenting on loot boxes and how scummy they were.
Do you consider loot boxes to be an ethical feature of your games? Kerry?
Well, first, we don't call them loot boxes. I think that was...
Whatever term you wish to apply to them, do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
And Battlefront 2 had inadvertently become the poster child for this practice, even though there were games out there which were 10 times worse than what EA was doing with Star Wars. Essentially what this meant for this title was that they couldn't really put any monetization in whatsoever because they didn't want to risk any more backlash. And this is where Battlefront 2 starts to spiral, because when you have a game which you can't monetize, you can't do battle passes, DLC, or whatever else you do to make money, all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a financial burden. And the only people to really suffer were the ones playing the game.
Hold on. This whole operation was your idea.
And all of this was due to the fact that it's labelled as a pay-to-win game, which people decided was playing early access. Amazing. So 6 years on from release, what is the current state of Battlefront 2? Well, crates are no longer a thing, credits are actually useless, and you don't have to worry about buying characters as they're all available to you from the start. Any sense of grind has basically been removed. You still have to level up star cards, but the way it works is a lot more simple. You just upgrade them as you level up. It's a very new age idea, right? There's still a healthy population that plays this title, and I mean on console and on PC. Don't be fooled by the Steam charts, because this game is still accessible through PC Game Pass and of course the EA Origins launcher, as bad as that is.
So uncivilized.
There is also a modded version of Star Wars Battlefront 2 which is accessible through the Kyber servers, and Nexus Mods has a plethora of quality of life updates and visual updates. It's worth pointing out as well that EA stopped supporting the game back in 2021. DICE confirmed that there'll be no more updates, DLCs, or any sort of support. In fact, the DICE team themselves have pretty much gone their separate ways. I don't know who's in charge of the anti-cheat, but I can only assume that's also no longer supported. Either that, or players have found a way to use the Force in more ways than one. For some reason, you'll still run into players who believe this is a e-sport game and their life depends on winning, so prepare to get heavily sweated in the more competitive game types. Which is also another fundamental issue of the game, which is the matchmaking just doesn't seem to be balanced. I have been on the losing end enough times, and not through any fault of my own, simply because they decided that the free 600 players should all be playing against the noob team. I don't understand this logic, and do you know what? It's never going to get fixed. But despite all its flaws, I still love coming back to this title. I just find it hard to stick around because I know how badly neglected this game is and how badly neglected it will become. I find it crazy that no one wants to go ahead and produce Star Wars Battlefront 3. EA have already said that it costs too much in license costs for them to produce a new one, and as I said, the DICE team have basically gone their separate ways. The only thing that might come close to replacing Star Wars Battlefront is Respawn's attempt at a Star Wars FPS. Respawn are obviously known for Apex Legends, the Titanfall series, and of course Star Wars Jedi, Survivor and Fallen Order. But as it stands, no Star Wars title out there quite captivates the Star Wars universe the way that Battlefront does. So if you are looking for a Star Wars fix, yes, it is still worth playing. It's in somewhat of a okay state for now, but sadly this game has no future. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video there. But this is just my humble opinion. What do you guys think? Will there be a Star Wars Battlefront 3? Is it still worth playing? Comment below, let me know your thoughts. And as always, if you want to see more of my content, please subscribe, maybe leave a like so it helps with the algorithm, and I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen which you might just enjoy. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye for now.